Japantown. Ivy did not smile. She did not jest. She followed. She protected. And she never, ever went out for fun. Until Art insisted. "We're going out today," the feline declared one morning, swirling tea idly in a porcelain cup. Frost coated his windows despite the warm air outside. Ivy gave him a sidelong look, already armed and armored. Out. Yes, Japantown, the far quarter. Street food, trinkets, strange music, chaos. You'll hate it. Come anyway. I am not required to indulge in your whims. Of course not, but you are required to guard me, Art smirked. And I insist on being guarded through pandemonium today. Ivy paused, eyes narrowing. He waited. Fine, she said at last, but I am not carrying your shopping bags. Japantown was a bloom of chaos. Lanterns swung from wires like suspended stars, each one painted in koi reds and cherry blossom pinks. The air was heady with incense, grilled goods, sesame sweets, and laughter. Children weaved through the streets with paper dragons, and every surface glittered with trinkets. Art thrived in such places. He greeted vendors with bows and banter, coaxed samples from tight-fisted chefs, and praised everything from hand-painted fans to inked poems sold by the sheet. His trusty rapier swung gently at his hip, but it was his smile that did the charming. Ivy walked behind, poised and steady as a drawn arrow. She said nothing, her amber eyes sweeping the crowd like a sniper measuring a battlefield. You're making people nervous, Art observed as he admired a stall selling carved cherrywood animals. They should be nervous, but not of you. Unideal. He laughed, unabashed. Perhaps you'll loosen up once we find something to eat. They stopped at a stall where a jovial woman was serving takoyaki, octopus balls sizzling on cast iron, laced with bonito and scallions. For you, sir, the vendor beamed at the cat, offering him a skewer. No charge, you're too pretty not to feed. I am rather devastating, Art said, accepting the food with a theatrical wink. The merchant offered Ivy a skewer as well. For your wife, too. She's not my... Art started, but the spider had already stepped between them, her fiery eyes narrowing. What's in it? She asked flatly. Pills? Poison? Razor blades? The vendor stammered as Ivy's hand moved subtly toward her glaive. Art jumped forward. She's not usually like this, he said, smiling with apologetic desperation. She's allergic to enthusiasm. Art bowed, uttering gomen aside before he tugged the spider away by the sleeve and whispered, Ivy, it's takoyaki, not a declaration of war. I protected you. From kindness? Yes. It kills. He gave her a look that could have melted glaciers. Ivy looked back, impassive, where her eyes simmered down ever so slightly. The day lengthened into dusk. The glow of lanterns became the only source of light as the shops dimmed and the music rose soft and stringed, shamisen and chimes like rain on glass. The pair walked side by side now, his stride a little slower, hers no longer filled with wary tension. They passed a stand selling silk bookmarks, another with steamed buns shaped like rabbits. Children danced to a flute player's tune. Ivy paused once to study a puppet show, once more to admire a stand of hand-cut silver pins. Art noticed, smiling. Having fun? he asked softly. No. But you've stopped scowling. I do not scowl. You have a resting scowl, darling. She said nothing, but her hands were no longer clenched and her gaze lingered on the colored lights above. They reached the far edge of the avenue where the crowds thinned and the lanterns were fewer, but the night was clearer. Art conjured a snowflake in his palm. It spun in his hand, perfect and delicate, catching the lantern light like a sliver of magic. A quiet rebellion of frost in a warm world. He let it dance from one fingertip to another, smiling softly to himself. Beside him, the spider kept pace. He noticed a couple walking ahead of them, young, laughing, hands entwined like vines on stone. Something within him stirred, uncertain, raw. The snowflake vanished as he stopped in his tracks beneath the crimson lantern. Ivy, he said, quiet. She turned, halting, eyes flicking up to his face. Art took a breath, stepped closer, and, carefully, as though reaching for a thread of smoke, he took her hand in his. She tensed, but only for a moment. Her fingers curled around his, strong and sure, her glove rough against his. You're warm, Ivy murmured. Am I? That's new. Are you ill? Art chuckled. No. In fact, I've never felt more alive. His gaze met hers. Now that I'm with you. Ivy's breath hitched. Kingsley. You're like snow, Art confessed, conjuring another hovering flake, slowly twirling it in his hand. Unique, complex, and beautiful. Though her mask covered her muzzle, he'd known her long enough to know that the crinkle at the edge of her eyes meant that she was smiling. And he blushed, cheeks blooming red, a stark contrast to the cold that lingered on his skin. Ivy, he said again, quieter, the iridescent glow of his construct reflecting twinkles in his eyes. Would you come out with me again? No titles, no guarding, just to be. She was silent for a heartbeat, then another. Yes. It was official. He could die happy. A breeze stirred. A few cherry blossoms, far from home, drifted past like whispered secrets. Then, without looking up from the mesmerizing snowflake, he heard, Thank you for today. He studied her. Her mask remained, but her eyes had changed. Less amber fire, more honeyed light, less guard, more ivy. You're welcome, he replied, and dared a smile. Perhaps next time you'll threaten fewer civilians. No promises. He laughed, and the sound danced across the still waters. Above them, the lantern swayed. Below, the koi stirred gently in the moon-silvered pond. And between them, lord and guardian, ice and flame, laughter and silence. Something beautiful stirred awake, slow as frost blooming on glass. Something worth protecting.